Hey everyone, thanks for joining tonight. We're going to talk about soap. We're going to talk about the process of soap, just so everyone is not caught off guard if you unfortunately get the email that says you were unsuccessful at match. That's the whole reason behind this. I hope everyone here is successful and that this is just over preparation. But in my opinion, the worst case scenario is for you to get the email and then have no idea what to do next, because everything starts rolling right off the bat as soon as you get the email, basically. So a little bit more in depth is I helped someone last year go through SOAP step by step. So I do kind of have firsthand knowledge of it. Um, it is a very intense week. We'll walk through, as you can see on the screen right now, you can see the timeline for it. So I'd like to just start off going through the timeline of SOAP. So tomorrow morning, we're going to get an email, and I think the email comes out at 9 a.m. Or sorry, I think it's 9 a.m. Central Time. So that's 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, may come out a little earlier because these things are all sent out in batches, So, but tomorrow we're going to get the email on whether or not we were successful. We need to be really careful on how we read the email because, depending on how you've matched, there are some people like you're applying for a transitional year or prelim year or in an advanced program. You need to be very careful that you read which programs you've actually matched into. Were you successful at the PGY1 and not successful at an advanced spot, or is it the opposite? Were you successful at advanced and not successful at a PG1, and that now you need to slope for PGY1? So that's really important, and it will come out and tell you kind of which way you have successfully matched. So keep that in mind too if you're doing an advanced position such as anesthesia or radiology, I think, or I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them. So tomorrow we'll get the notification at 11 a.m. So we get the email at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. At 11 a.m. the system opens up. So the system opens up and you can start looking at programs, start looking through what's available. In the email that gets sent to you or in the access when you open it in the R3 system, I can't remember exactly which one. I think it's when you get into the system, you can see all the available spots that are available in every specialty. You can see a total number, and then you can start exploring the programs that are there. You get 45 applications, and that's it. It doesn't matter if you apply to 3 different specialties or whatever, you got 45 applications through SOAP. You don't get any more. So when you're researching your programs, it's important to know that. Also, before I go any further, I do want to step back to opening the email. It can be a shock if you're unfortunate and you do get the email that says you're not successful at matching. You do have time to take a second to gather yourself, to let it sink in. Surround yourself with a support system. You're going to need some help getting through the week. That support system can be your family, it can be your friends, it can be people through Ross. I know last year we have a really good student community that was reaching out through our WhatsApp chats, offering people help to rewrite personal statements, to proofread personal statements, to help with interview prep, to help in any way that they can. And I anticipate that the student community is going to support each other like they did last year. So it's important to surround yourself or reach out to people that would be useful to you. Along those lines, Ross does have Zoom rooms that you can jump in. All day, you just jump into a room and you're one-on-one with someone. I don't know exactly who it is, but they've designated people from the OCA, from other teams, to be there to help people through it. There was an email sent out to us by OCA that has all those links in it. make sure that you find that. But the support system is going to be big if you're having to go through SOAP. Even if you have someone there who just needs to answer the phone for you, because the way that the interviews work, Tuesday, you could start off with a phone interview at 9 a.m. as they can start calling you as soon as they start reviewing applicants, right? So if you're in an interview with someone, and then like sometimes they want to do video interviews, so you could be in a video interview and your phone could be ringing, and if you have someone to answer the phone for you, take a message, get a number to call back. That's very helpful instead of letting it go to voicemail, because you may not be able to get a hold of them again. Also, just to help keep you on track, help give you water, help give you food throughout the day. So it's stressful, and just having anyone to support you is huge. So that being said, moving on through the day, Monday, you research, you get your applications in. It's all done through the ERAS system again, through the R3 system, and you submit your 45 programs, and you have to tag them just like you did with your other application. You got to go in and submit your letters of recommendation. You got to go in and put your personal statements in, and depending on what you've applied to, it could mean that you have to rewrite your personal statement. So if you've only applied to, I don't know, like dermatology, if all you did was dermatology and you haven't had a backup for anything, you may need to sit down and write a personal statement for internal medicine or something. That's just an example. So Tuesday morning, that's when the programs start reviewing. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, they review applications. They start making their own list. They can start calling you as soon as they pull up one off the stack, which is all, I say off the stack, it's all digital, right? As soon as they see someone, they can assign it to a resident, say, hey, call this person. And so you'll be talking to residents who do the first screening, or maybe program directors. I don't know. A lot of calls that came in first were just people doing screening, reaching out and be like, oh, we'll schedule a video interview with you later. And then we would follow up with a video call either later that day or the next day. So interviews can start coming in on Tuesday. That being said, if you don't get an interview early, it doesn't mean anything either, because there's plenty of people that don't get any calls on Tuesday. They get calls on Wednesday, and then they still match, or they still progress fine through SOAP. It's also on Tuesday. You don't have to dress up. You don't have to be sitting around waiting in a suit either, or dress or professional attire. They're going to call you first, and then schedule a video conference, or they're going to email you to schedule a video conference so you know when you need to dress up. You'll have plenty of time in advance to put on professional dress for the interview, so you don't have to sit around all day. And then they start actually creating their list at 11:30. They can start making their list for the rounds that happen on Thursday. Wednesday is just more interviews all day. That's programs reaching out to applicants, because you still cannot contact a program at this time. You can't reach out to a program during SOAP. They have to be the one to initiate contact with you, or else it's a match violation. So got to be really aware of that. Thursday is where all the rounds take place. So as you can see, starting at 9 a.m. to 11, that's the first round. The way this works is you log in through the R3 system, and it literally tells you what your offers are. You'll either have first round offers, or you won't have first round offers. If you have an offer, you have until 11 a.m. You have 2 hours to decide if you want to accept the offer. If you accept the offer, it's considered a binding agreement, just like if you were to match the program, it's a binding agreement, and you're expected to go to that program. If you reject the offer, then you go back into round 2, and there's no guarantee that there's anything waiting for you in round 2. It's just you decided to reject the offers from round 1. There's plenty of people that go in and they don't get any offers in round 1, and they progress through multiple rounds before they get an offer. I've talked personally to many people who got offers in third and fourth rounds. So don't give up, don't give up everything if you don't get an offer in the first round, is what I'm saying. So at 9 p.m. that night, Eastern time, that's when the SOAP process ends. After that, it's kind of Wild West out there. You can start contacting programs and you can start reaching out on your own. If you still went through the whole process and you don't have a match, you can then start contacting programs and reaching out to them. So before I go any further, does anyone have questions about the general layout of the day? I'm happy to answer anything. You feel free to type them in the chat or just
is there going to be any support wise if we need to like get new letters of recommendation or something like that, or like a faculty chair letter or something for a program?
I think that can be in the Zoom calls, or like the stuff from Ross. There was an email that was sent out. So let me see if I can find it and see what's in that email. Here we go. There's a SOAP faculty support line. And I would think that they would offer that. I'm not 100% sure. They just give us, I'm looking at it now. Here, let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing. So here's the email that they sent out to us. And right here, you can see they have faculty support link here. You can jump in at any time and it'll put you in a room with someone. I think if you need to request a letter, you do it here and tell them what you're going for, and they can get you a chair letter, I guess. Now, the only bad thing about this is if you do get a chair letter, it's going to be very standardized because they're not going to really know you. They're going to, unless you have a good relationship with the chair, and if you do, you should already have a letter from them, in my opinion. But you could still reach out and see if they would provide you with one if you need one. As if you see here, OCA SOAP resources, this is just a webinar that we've already watched, and then there's an info sheet. Let's see what this is. I don't see anything. Yeah, they don't even talk about that, about letters on this. So yeah, I think you make the request in the Zoom call. You tell them what you need and they'll work on getting it to you. And it's going to be a standardized letter. But at least you have something, right?
I have a question. So about the application, when we submitted the application, a lot of us did not have any research experience or other extracurricular activities, which we did maybe after submitting the application. In that case, should we send them an email right after submitting the application?
Give me 1 second. Whatever is on your ERAS application is what's there. So if you wanted to, you could, but you have to wait for them to contact you. You can't submit your application and then send an email to the program. That would be a match violation. So you can't contact them before they contact you. So I think that kind of answers your question. Once someone reaches out to you, then those can be talking points for you in the phone call, in the video call interview, however it's set up. But unfortunately, you can't contact them before they contact you.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to look at my application again, and I was looking to see if I can, add on something or, put some maybe documents, but I don't see any options. So I'm really worried about that.
Stop.
I don't think you can update things. If you can, it'll be open through the R3 system in the morning during that time period. I just can't remember from last year to this year if there was anything to update, because we didn't have to update anything except for their letters of recommendation, and that was all we had to change for their application. But if there could be, but I don't think there is an ability to change things on your application as far as like experiences and stuff goes.
So question, when you log in back into ERAS, is it basically the whole thing that we saw prior to like when we did it for the first time? So you see all the lists and every letter that we have from before is still going to be there?
Yeah, the letters of recommendation that you have from before will still be on your ERAS account.
Okay, so we can just like, if we want to say like we applied categoricals and we wanted to go for prelims, we can just use the same stuff all over again. So it won't be too hard. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the only reason that you'd have to change anything is if you're going for a different specialty, or you just have gotten a better, like you got a letter of recommendation that came in super late and you didn't get to attach it or something, then you could attach that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I have a bunch of links for you guys as well. Let me share my screen again. Anyone wants to ask questions, keep asking questions. All right. Just going back over here.
I guess one more question. So there will be a list that's available of unfilled programs even after all the SOAP rounds have completed?
I don't. Yes. So if you go all the way through SOAP and you don't secure a position, you will get a list of people who still did not fill the positions. So that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I'm just putting some links in the chat. This is the AAMC student and resident linked for resources for SOAP. Some of these things I'm going to link to are just like in the same web page. It just details like what I've already talked about in SOAP. You've got 45 applications. When it starts, there's no additional fees for SOAP because it's all covered. This is another link here. It's more information about SOAP with residency CAS. This is like a checklist that you can go over. I know it talks about certify and submit your MyERAS application. If you've applied through Match, I think you've already done that. I don't think you have to do it again. But this is like pre-SOAP, because some people participate in SOAP, but they didn't go all the way through Match or something. It looks like you can update personal information, but that's because you can update personal information at any time. And then you can update personal statement and letter of recommendation, but you can't change anything else is what it looks like. So I'm going to put this link in here for you guys too. Here's some frequently asked questions. So let's see what we got here. I was trying to scan quickly to see if there's any questions about can I make changes to my application during SOAP? You cannot make changes to your application once you've certified and submitted to MyERAS program. So if you've already certified and submitted, you can't change it. I'll include this link too if I haven't already. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer anything. Anything that I can, and if I can't, then maybe this video can help you. This is a webinar from, this is a question and answer webinar from AAMC and applicants. So you're more than welcome to watch this as well, and hopefully it'll help answer more questions that we didn't get to if you have any. This is just another link to navigating Match Week. It's got another short video as well. And then this explains how SOAP works. If you didn't understand how I explained it, maybe this will answer it better for you. And that's it. It's just a repeat at that point. So feel free to ask about the experience of going through SOAP. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer them. Oh, let me drop the raw stuff in here too. There's all the raw Zoom links for tomorrow as well, in case you couldn't find them in your emails. Again, this is just a preparatory talk I wanted to have just to make sure. Let's see, how do we know which documents each program requires for submission? It's basically the same thing for SOAP, or not SOAP, same thing for normal applications. You need your letter of recommendations, you need your personal statement, and then your ERAS application. Now, as far as number of letters of recommendation, that's what you got to research on Monday. You get the program, it tells you which program's in SOAP, then you have to go look at the program and on their website and see what they say they need for their applications. Some say 2, some say 3 letters. That's part of your research that you have to do on Monday. I hope that answered your question. I can give you some numbers off the top of my head of number of spots that went in last year. You can also look this up online. I just didn't do it before I started the talk. Family medicine had an all-time high last year of, I think, almost 600 spots that went into SOAP. Emergency medicine had 200 and something that went into SOAP. IM had 200, maybe even more, 300, almost 400 spots that went into SOAP. Preliminary IM had hundreds of spots that went into SOAP. Prelim surgery had hundreds of spots that went into SOAP. Anesthesia had 1. OBGYN had like 12, I think. So some of the more competitive ones, of course, will have fewer spots, I feel like. But there are hundreds of spots out there is my point. And then additionally, after SOAP, if you're still unsuccessful at getting a spot, then there are places that you can contact. Also, Ross does have connections with programs, so when you do drop into the Zoom link, they can reach out to their connections. And what I mean by that is they know some programs that don't participate in SOAP or in ERAS. Like they do all their hiring and stuff outside of ERAS, so they can put you in contact with these programs, and it's not a match violation. It's okay for them to do that. I don't have a list of which programs don't participate in ERAS and in MRP, so, but they have contacts with programs, and they can kind of work in some backdoor communications for you on programs where they're not participating in NMRP. Any other questions? Here we go. For the ERAS application, should we resubmit the one we already submitted? Oh, I think you do have to resubmit the ERAS application once you. I don't remember when it gets reset on what you submit or not. You can. I'm trying to remember. As you can see, I'm trying to actively remember what we had to do last year. But let me think about that a second. I think you do have to resubmit, which is why it's part of that pre-checklist, because you can go ahead and submit the application that you can change, which is like your personal information, and yeah, I think that's about it. That's about all you can change.
Okay, so I have one more question, if you don't
Sure.
mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, so since we already submitted our application and we are not allowed to make any changes, so in our personal statement, can we, just add a line or something about our experiences or research experiences after submitting the application?
Sure, 100% you can do that. You can talk about a meaningful experience that you've had since submitting the application, right? Also, the number one question you're going to get asked when you get an interview is like, why do you think you didn't match, right? That was the number one question that came up on all the interviews that we did last year. Let's tell me why you think you didn't match. And let's take, your example. You didn't have certain things when you applied. There's some people that apply and they don't have step 2 done yet, and then they get step 2 done late. And, that can be the reason. Be like, well, I applied and I didn't have step 2, but I got step 2 in and I made a whatever score on it. It kind of explains it. Or if you applied to a really competitive specialty and only applied to it, like dermatology, like I said, when they ask you why you think you didn't match, you say, well, I only applied dermatology. And they're like, oh, I understand. Everyone knows there's certain specialties that are so competitive that if you say you only applied to this, then they understand. So, but you can definitely craft your personal statement and put some lines in there about other things you've accomplished since the application.
Should you apply to programs that you applied for match, but obviously didn't get an interview?
You can. That is on the frequently asked questions. So let's see what they said about that, because I remember seeing that. Let's see here. Can I reapply to programs I applied to during regular ERS? Yes, you may apply to programs. It says, let me share my screen with you guys so you can see this. So it says right here, you may apply to programs previously applied to prior to SOAP by doing the following. You go to My ERAS account, from programs, select reapply to programs, and select programs you want to reapply to. Oh, that's a big thing. Look at that last point here. Letters of recommendations assigned to that program can't be unassigned. So I don't know if that means that you can't change them because there's a limit. Maybe if you only use 3 and you had 1 extra one, now you can tack an extra one on. But if you're reapplying to a program, you can't change your letter of recommendation. Makes sense. So you can do it. I don't know. I don't have a good answer on whether or not if you should do it, right? Because kind of depends on how you felt the interview really went, how high you thought, or how well you really wanted to go there, how high they were on your rank list. I don't have a good answer on if you should or not, because it's not a perfect system. And if you're applying somewhere that only has 3 or 4 spots, and for some reason they don't match those 3 or 4 spots, then you kind of have to think like, well, where was I actually ranked at on their list if I didn't match in their 3 or 4 spots? So that's what I would be asking myself, right? Like if I applied to a program that had 4 spots and they didn't fill 4 spots, but they were my number 2, where does that put me on their list, right? That puts me not on their list, basically. So does that make sense in what I was trying to answer for you?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you had talked to anyone who, for example, they applied to a program. Obviously, you know, didn't hear anything back from them. Was it even worth? We obviously only get 45 applications, so we kind of have to be strategic. And, maybe a program that we previously applied to for match, maybe they have 10, 15 positions. You know, um, is it even worth me using one of my 45 applications to apply to that same program? You know what I mean? Because if not, then I can apply somewhere else. So,
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. For me personally, I can give you my personal take on it. I have not spoken to anyone for that exact scenario. Um, but if I'm looking at the program and they had 15 spots and they go into SOAP with like 8 of them unmatched, that means that I was way down on their rank list, like way down on their rank list. To not, well, actually, it means if you ranked them, if you ranked them on your list and you didn't match, that means they didn't rank you if they went into SOAP with open spots. That's 100% what that means, because of how the system works. Because it says that it takes your preference and choice, right? So it goes through your list first. And so if that program was on your list, it says where were you on their list, and it goes down their list to curate their match list, right? And so it will go down as far as it needs to fill their spots. So if you went unmatched but had them on the list and they went with 9 spots or whatever into SOAP, that means you weren't on their rank list. So I don't know if I would apply back there, because they would have put you on the rank list if they wanted you. Does that make sense?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, if it's a place you really want to go to and you wanted to have a second shot at it, you have 45. You could try one if you really wanted that program. But I just wanted to highlight what the reality was. Any other questions, guys?
Do we have to submit our transcripts and like all the documents again, or they already have it?
They already have all that in the ERAS system. So like the only thing that you'll have to add to your application would be letters of recommendations that you want to add, and a new personal statement. Everything else that you went through match with is still in the system, and you just upload it from that. You'll have to go in, and unless you meant like you need to go in and actually like click in and add it, if that's what you meant, then yes, you do have to do that for every program. It's just like applying an ERAS. For every program that you want to apply to, you go in and you have to manually click in your photo, your personal statement, your transcripts, your letters of recommendations. And I hope I'm talking to everyone here that doesn't have to do this. So that's the goal. All right, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Say, ask them out. If not, you're free to go. I mean, I'm not holding you anyways, but I'll give everyone another minute or so to ask questions, and then I'll end the recording and hang around if you wanted to ask something, but not ask it in front of people.